Fleming.
This meeting is being recorded.
Nice. All right.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tech Talk. Don't you, if you've seen the latest video, I haven't gotten an in-studio audience. I don't have to do my own cheering anymore.
Laugh track?
Hey. Oh, and we're going on Facebook to boot. Yay. So, how is everyone on this dreary Thursday? I was going to say Monday morning. It feels like it, doesn't it? I don't know what
It's
anybody
warm.
else.
I don't care what it's doing outside. It's warm.
Yeah, it'd be way better if it was all snow, and I guess I'll get my part of it later today.
Tomorrow, yes, that's right. So there's been a lot going on in the tech industry this week, and guys, I don't know about you, but I think this has got to be, for technology anyway, one of the most exciting periods of time. I can't imagine it being any more innovative. Like quick turnarounds, like the distance, right? I'm 56, and I've gone from knowing what a party line is, at the cottage, right, to cell phones that are already coming back, right? Like this. Remember the first flip phones,
Mm-hmm.
and now they got flip phones back again. Like they're already redoing them. So it's like, wow. That has, like, in the last 30 years, 40 years, it's been incredible. And so I saw this local advertisement, and I, of course, thought of Michael, because he's our hydrogen guy, right? He thinks that it's way better than electricity, and I'm sure you're right with your knowledge. And so hopefully you guys are all seeing that ArcelorMittal, which is our Hamilton local, and really they affect, because they used to be Dofasco.
Okay.
So even Torontonians, you had warehouses with them too. They're going to have our first hydrogen blast furnaces, right? So not only will we be the top producer in steel in the world, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, we have world-class steel. But they're going to be clean. So I think it was during yesterday or the day before we were talking about, Yuri, which way the wind blows, right, in Hamilton. Well, that's not only for smell, but it's for particles. And so it'll be nice not to have that sludge like they had to encapsulate in the bay now, right? I don't know if they've done that or not, but there was so much of this toxic stuff in the bottom of our bay, they couldn't even risk the taking it out, right? They just are creating a great big cement tub, turning it upside down, and encapsulating it. It's that bad.
Wow.
Yeah, right? So it's a little scary. Did you see that email I sent you, Mr. Ivan, this morning?
I did see it, and it's very exciting for those that live in Hamilton.
45 stories, though?
Yeah, so I actually posted that article yesterday in our page. 45-story condo building being built down at the waterfront. Pier 8.
Yeah.
45-story.
Now you're
Kathryn, on what you were saying there with the Dofasco thing.
Yeah.
That's actually, I guess, a two-stage process where first they're moving away from the coal to electric arcs, and then eventually, and using natural gas at that point, and then eventually, as the hydrogen infrastructure gets into place and better, then they move to hydrogen. But in phase one, electric to gas, they're going to reduce 3 million tons per year of pollution. And when they switch to hydrogen, it'll be a total of 5 million tons. Like, that's a lot. I think they said something like 30% of Canada's greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced by that one project alone.
Wow, I didn't hear that. I heard all those numbers, but I don't know. It sounds like a lot, 300 tons, 1,000 tons, but
3 million tons.
I've got no no concept of what that means, right? So that's why I didn't say anything about it. But yeah,
Bless you.
thank you. It's exciting that we're on the edge of, although it's still our steel industry, right? We're still on the edge of that R&D, because really this is that cutting edge, if you will, right? So yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And you know, there's even, I don't know if they calculate it in, but all that coal that gets mined right now, right? It's got to be transported in ships and stuff. So it's actually going to be a reduction in the pollution caused by the movement of all that coal from source to Dofasco, right? So yeah,
well, you see anybody who goes over the Skyway, yeah, you can see that pile, right, where they've got the whatever the assembly line is, right, the belt there to bring the coal and make those coal piles. So that's in itself just creating, you know,
there's runoff into the water from that, right? It's not tarped. Every time it rains, that's running into your harbor and you know, affecting things.
Yeah. So Ivan, tell me, why would you be so excited to get such a tall building? I mean, investment in building is wonderful, but you know, that's going to be, you're up on the hill compared to where that's going, and it's still going to overshadow your building.
Okay, so great question, Kathryn. I love development. Sorry, I'm the guy who loves development. And when I think about some of the most amazing places I go to, like the Toronto Harbor, for instance, there's tons of buildings around, but there's a lot of opportunity for families to go and walk by. They've got the ships down there. You've been down there. I mean, it's a great experience, right? My thing is, don't shut off the harbor front by putting a flour mill or where people cannot walk and enjoy the waterfront. If you do something down there that's going to leave it open for Hamiltonians and other people to come down and enjoy our great city, then I'm all over it for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think it was bad investment in that, but it was just the size. Like two 20-story buildings would have been better than, in my opinion, than having this great big, you know, it's like putting the CN Tower right on a lakeshore.
But so did you hear their explanation for it though? They're looking to create an iconic, skyline for Hamilton, right? Because right now, you know what the iconic skyline is for Hamilton? The building I live in.
Oh, really?
Century 21?
It's the Twin Towers down here by the waterfront.
Oh, okay.
But they've got and everything, right? So, but they're looking to do something iconic for Hamilton. And I think that, and if you look at the entire development down there, it is absolutely amazing what they're doing. So, I'm totally, bring it on, man.
Good.
I love that you're saying that with the CN Tower popping up over your right shoulder.
Yeah. Hamilton right there.
Yeah.
If you roll out to
characterizes us, right?
Sorry, what was that?
No, just to add on to what Ivan was saying is that, you know, every great city sort of has that iconic skyline thing. Like in New York, for the longest time, it was the Twin Towers, and now it's like, you know, obviously they've been gone for a while, and you got like the Chrysler Building and all that kind of stuff. But Toronto's got, you know, the CN Tower, as we alluded to earlier. Yeah. San Francisco has, I always forget the name of that building, but it's like a giant pyramid that goes straight up. I remember taking a picture of that thing when I was in San Francisco like 5 years ago, and it's massive. But to me, a great city gets a reputation just based on that, you know, iconic piece alone.
Yeah, I was, again, my thought was just because it was down on the water, and I'd hate to see, like Ivan saying, the water gets shut off to
the wall of concrete.
Yeah, like again, keeping it on the south side, you know, so that people still have access to, you know, but I'd hate to see a fence around, you know, property fence, nicely done, of course, but so that it limits, you know, you got to cross the street to get around it. But we'll have
for a long time, the Hamilton Skyline was Century 21 and the Stelco Tower. And if you ever come into down to Hamilton from Highway 6 now, Clap's cut, and you look over at the city, The skyline is really changing with all the new hotels and things that have been built in the downtown core.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to get like a little, they're smaller towers, but there is a cluster of towers slowly coming up. And we're getting that kind of thing that Ivan wants with all the big towers in like the center, the core of your city. It is something that Hamilton didn't have, being sort of a blue collar town. It was all focused on the steel mills and, some of the companies that are gone, like Harvester and Procter and Gamble and all that. It was all about the industrial waterfront at one time. Now we're actually transforming.
And you know what's funny is Ottawa, I went to the Terry Fox Center when I was in high school, so we're going back. And Ottawa had already started that process. Like they had just finished buying Eddie Match out, right? And moving it off their waterway so they can get their waterway back. So.
You know what, Kathryn? Another thing that excites me, Michael will probably love this, is that just up on James Street, north of the Pier 8, north.
Ivan, can you just take over for a bit? I don't know if you can hear the back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. They've actually, there's a set of townhouses that they've kicked everybody out of, and they're supposed to be turning them into, I think, 4 condo buildings on that piece of property. And finally, they've got the fence going up now to block that whole space off. So you can imagine that if you have the Pier 8 construction, and between the Pier 8 construction and this new place here that they're building out, those other condos, there's Granddad's Donuts, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm excited.
Is that property on James Street, is that what we used to be like the community housing property that was owned by the city?
That's the spot.
But now is it still going to be community housing, or is it going to be something else?
It's condos, and then they have some affordable housing that's going to be sprinkled in there. But it's right at James and Strawn. You know that area, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's a pretty big block there. Like when you're heading towards downtown on the right hand side there, it's a big area.
Yeah, it's massive. So it's going to change the entire. Like right now, it seems as if once you get past Leona Station and you get across that bridge, it kind of goes downhill from there, right? When you get down there. But now, except for where Williams Cafe is right now, but now they're going to have this amazing high density development that's going to go in there. Lots of people. You can imagine 1,650 doors down there on Pier 8, plus another 1,500, 1,600 doors in this new property. And James Street ain't going to get any wider. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be. That whole area. What street is that? Bay Street down near the waterfront.
Yeah.
I remember going down there as a kid, and it was a pretty rundown area. And then all it took is a couple people come in, and they started fixing up properties, and the values went up. And one guy said, "Well, that guy did something nice to his house. Why can't I fix mine up?" And the next one did it, and sort of along that, and it's I think it's spreading slowly towards James, where people are saying, "Hey, you know what? This is actually still a nice neighborhood. All we got to do is do a little maintenance on our houses and bring them up." And it's actually a very desired and expensive neighborhood now. Also, it's not a cheap. It used to be a cheap neighborhood. You go down there because it was cheap.
Yeah.
Maggie?
Yeah, there's some nice houses down there. As you know, I'm a member of Macasta Bay, which is right off Bayfront. So
It's right.
Now I haven't been there for a while, but still I've walked through that area up to our corner and stuff. And there's some nice.
Yeah, some really great developments. Right around the corner from where I am. I'm right down here at John and Burlington Street, which if you remember back in the old days, the roads are still terrible. They haven't paved them, but lately, but there are townhouses that were built around the corner that they were listed at $1 million. Think about it, $1 million, about 650,000 ish to about $1 million. And you think about that in this area was unheard of. But now what Michael was saying about spanking up the area, it's they're taking houses that they could have bought for $350 and they're turning them into $800,000 homes in this neighborhood. It's quite amazing. So
I used to go when I was a kid at the corner of Bay and James down the hill. There was a little boathouse down on the water. It was a green building. And in that boathouse, they had the Sea Scouts.
Oh,
And
really?
we used to go down there I went down as a Sea Scout, and this is like in the 70s. And we'd
Right.
paddle around there, and there was this spit of land where all these dump trucks were dumping stuff. We used to go, gee, look at the barrels they're dumping in there and stuff.
Wow.
Well, that is now the Pier 4 Park, which was known as the Lax Lands, which was, they dumped all kinds of toxic waste in there. There was a big lawsuit.
Whenever
going
I hear
on,
about
and
barrels
that's how the
being
city
dumped,
ended up
I think
with
about
the
the
property.
Sopranos, you know, so yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
It's like-
well, you
but
know
I do-
what? It would have been just like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can remember when there was, it's actually a Navy base there. Well, Hamilton, it's not where it is now. It was farther over. And then there was right beside it was a Navy base. Because, yeah, my dad could go on any military base in Canada anytime he wanted. So, but he used to go down there, and he'd often stop in for a drink on the way home.
So listen, I want to talk about this because I've been watching a lot of the Super Bowl Super Bowl commercials from I guess the Super Bowl was recently, I guess, I don't know. Anyway, so some of these commercials are pretty amazing, and it was the very first time that I saw a Meta commercial for a game. I guess you put your Oculus on or whatever your thing is. First time I've ever seen that. I mean, with the new spanky Meta logo. Does anybody here have an Oculus type of device? You do, actually.
Yeah, I got an Oculus Quest.
And so do you have problems finding software to run on this thing?
No, it's a pretty elaborate like store or app store that you can kind of get. Like, there's lots of games. Like the two that I've been a big fan of there's one called Beat Saber. And so if you've ever played like Guitar Hero or Dance Dance Revolution or any of those games where you have to sort of hit certain buttons or tap certain things in time with the music, it's the same kind of idea, you know, at a general level. Some other ones I really like. There's been a few of them, like a lot of first-person shootery type stuff where you've been sort of teleported into this world of, you know, zombies or the Wild West or whatever, and you kind of are being taken through this area, and you have to, you know, shoot all the bad guys as they come at you. I haven't dabbled in the metaverse stuff yet, where it's more like I'll just call it an alternate reality, but right. I haven't. I've been meaning to dabble with that stuff just to kind of get a feel for it. I don't think it's that. I wouldn't imagine it's that popular yet because it's still such a new thing, and I don't think the majority of people are spending 2 to 4 hours a day with, you know, those headsets on their faces.
Right.
But, you know, it's an interesting idea. I think it's still a few years out though before it becomes, you know, mainstream.
I mean, is it possible, Maggie, you know, or Sheila, that we can have this conversation one day? I mean, right now we're doing this, and you know, it's very, you know, two-dimensional, the interface that we have here. I'm looking at you guys on the screen, and that's it. But is it possible one day that I could say, okay, everybody, strap on your you know, Oculus, and then we're in the same room, sitting around the table, having a conversation, and it feels pretty real? Is that? I mean, how far away is that?
Possible. I think it's possible. Actually, I know my son-in-law has one of those things.
He does, eh?
Yeah. Oh. Like he posted a video of my daughter using it and around. And,
yeah, you know, it's kind of crazy that the technology has moved this fast that we're now very Star Trek, you know. Who saw the first Blade Runner? By the way, I love that movie, the original Blade Runner. And I remember when Harrison Ford goes into that phone booth and he calls, and, you know, it's a video call. And I'm thinking, wow, that's cool, man. One day, one day we'll be able to have video call. Right? Yeah. We have video call without even having to go into a phone booth, right? Yeah. We could just walk down the street and pull this up, and, you know, it's kind of weird now. I don't even like having phone calls with people just without the video anymore. I prefer, you know, right? Sheila, every time I want to talk to you, what do? I go, let's get on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
I never like talking on the phone that much anyway, unless it's like, you know, my daughter, you know, my friend June or something, you know. I actually prefer. You
know, Maggie, I could see you with an Oculus on, you know, talking to people and moving things around. But
I don't know. It's not like I play games except for solitaire. Well, Spider Solitaire. It's the only game I play. I don't play all the other.
Seriously? Okay, Nathan, please work with her.
I got it.
Thank you.
I'll bring my Oculus over to you, Maggie.
Actually, next time I am down at my daughter's, so I am going to say I want to try these things.
You know what I might do is, just for the fun of it, I might just have, because you know that at our office in here in Hamilton, as a member of this great city, you get up to 2 hours that you can come in and work in our flex room. So we've got full Wi-Fi, we've got great coffee. Yeah, come on down. But what I might do is I might pick up one of these Oculus things and a few, get Nathan's suggestion and pick up a few games so people can actually experience it. Because you know what? We don't know what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years and how immersed society will be in this type of technology. Because think about this, 2 years, 3 years ago, how many people would have thought that the world would have been immersed into Zoom, right? I mean, back then there were things like, what were those other, I think, Skype, yeah, Skype, right?
I've never used. I had it on my computer, all my computers, but it's like I never used it, didn't know how. Really.
Right, but here we are. Every day, every single day, I'm on Zoom, talking to people. Right now, when I do cold calls, because I'm in sales as well, and I used to go out and meet people live, but people are still a little sketchy about meeting live. So, when we first started with Zoom, it was awkward to have a Zoom sales meeting. It was awkward, right? Now, I gotta tell you, I prefer it.
I've got clients and prospects that are, I would say it's almost like a 50-50 between coming into the office and meeting face-to-face and doing things over Zoom. And I would say for me, from a practical standpoint, there's good and bad, and there's good and bad. Zoom is much more efficient in terms of having the time, sort of keeping on a timeline and stuff like that. But the thing that really bothers me is I would almost, if I need documents signed, I would much rather just have them here, present the documents, go through it with them, sign here, get the signatures, walk away, and then it's there. Whereas when I'm sending things through Docusign, sometimes people forget about it, right? I'm actually waiting on a document now. I think it's been a week where the client has just forgotten about it, or they've missed it because I sent them so many different forms and they just lost track of which ones were done and which ones weren't. So
don't read all the way through.
There's good and bad to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that pause there.
Hey, no problem, Kathryn. Thanks for coming back.
yeah, I'm glad I was able to come back. So just to take off back on that technology part, you too can own a Fisker pair for a mere $7,500 down. You can have this beautiful SUV, right? And even American, they're $30,000.
What?
Yeah.
Is this the same one you showed us last week?
No, that was a Fresco, and that's still a concept, right? Yeah, this is the Fisker SUV, and they're already taking reservations on it. Right? It is going to apparently be at the end of this year. If you want to reserve two, they'll make it only $100 for the second reservation, just so you know. But it's exciting. Those are prices that we can relate to. I mean, that's better, actually. I think I haven't had any.
I heard that Tesla is releasing another vehicle that it's at that price point too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but it's a really pared down too. Oh, pared down. But it's really chopped down. The mileage sucks. Yeah. Right. It's like.
Oh, I didn't realize they announced those details on it yet.
Yeah, it's anything. Every time they've tried to come in at a market that's lower, they do away with the batteries, right? And the mileage, and for us in Canada, it's just, or northern states, it's just not an option, right? You when you're going to get chewed up anyway with the cold and all that other kind of stuff. So
is that one of the big costs when it comes to EVs, is the battery?
Yeah, yeah. Until they get to the next step, no one that I'm aware of, other than a couple Chinese car manufacturers, have actually gone to the solid state yet. They're all talking about it.
Right.
Right? But the more batteries you put in, the more weight you put in, the more possibilities for circuits and right. So yeah, and I mean it's great. It makes the cars really, stay on their tires, kind of thing, because of the gravity pull being the whole bottom platform. But
yeah, the center of gravity is super low.
Yeah, but when you're driving a Hummer, like because of the weight, the batteries make it almost like driving a Hummer when you got the family car, So,
But Kathryn, even with the Tesla, though, I mean, it's got to be a pretty heavy car, but that acceleration is crazy, right? So it doesn't seem to affect the car negatively.
No.
Except in mileage.
Except in mileage, yeah.
Which is your charge, right?
Yeah.
We're not worrying about miles per gallon anymore. We're talking, can I make it to the grocery store and back if I race the guys on the street? Maybe not.
I feel like for most people, like at least who live in an urban center like Hamilton or Toronto or something like that, when it comes to like your day-to-day errands and commute to work and stuff like that, I think most EV mileage would be plenty. Because the other thing too, you got to remember too, is that you can always charge it at home, meaning you've always got essentially a full tank every morning, right?
Yeah.
But it's those long road trips. Like for me, like I live in Peterborough, or I'm from Peterborough, so going up there for a road trip, and then finding a place to charge, I have to go to the mall and hang out there for 30 minutes. And let's face it, Peterborough Mall sucks, so I don't really want to do that to begin with. But or I gotta like my mom's house.
Yeah, there are a lot of good things though. Like a lot of places are coming up. I was at Queenston in Nash and noticed that the Canadian Tire now has 4 new
wonderful
charging stations, right? And
Lime Ridge has some too.
Sorry?
Lime Ridge, I think, they've got the Tesla ones. I think they've got about a dozen of them. And then there is one close to I guess what used to be the Sears, was it the Sears end or the Bay End? No, the Bay End. They've got like one, it's not a Tesla one. I think it's called Flow or something like that.
Oh, that's Petrochem.
Is that Petro? Okay, yeah. So it's got one of those too. So I mean, they're definitely becoming more prevalent. I guess I don't know about sort of like the more outskirty rural areas outside of like sort of the GTHA where is the network as fruitful out there as it is sort of in the
depending. Again, if you're going, I mean, Peterborough's a pretty substantial community for that kind of stuff, right? Even Lakefield, but pick some small little crossroads like Clapperson Corner. Okay, no, even Kingsville.
Well, to be honest, there is not much. And just like Nathan said, like, I really don't want to go hang out at Devonshire Mall to charge my car to make it to the next little town or city, because there's nowhere in between to stop. What do you do?
Yeah. Like, don't forget, you're supposed to have at least a grade 2 at your place, right? Which, again, when you get to from 20 to 80% charge, will take you most places, right? That last 20% is your trickle charge, if you will. That's the night plugged in to top up the tank, as Nathan mentioned it. But yeah, there's so many different things, right? Tomorrow morning, it's going to be slippery, it's going to be cold, and so you're going to go through that much more. Now, will you be able to get into Windsor? Yeah, even with a Leaf, you could get into Windsor.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's so funny because people talk about this range anxiety thing, and I find that I have range anxiety in my petrol car, right? In my gas car, I have range anxiety. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the light's on, and so
it's like any long
we just need to think about the fact that it's like having a gas car with a smaller tank.
Yeah.
Right.
Where the gas stations are, and there's a
but you know what? There are so many. And don't knock the malls, by the way. They have Cinnabon. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is,
Lime Ridge is good. There's by the
road. You and that sweet tooth,
right? Okay, so there are plenty of charging stations around. So don't. I love hearing people say, "Oh, but where are you going to find a charging station?" I said, "Well, where's the nearest charging station to you?" And most people can say, "Oh, it's here at this place. I saw one." Okay, then you know where at least one is. So just
and we're talking 15 minutes, right? For that
15 minutes, yeah.
To get you up to 80%.
They're adding more all the time.
The grade, those are commercial, and the grade 3 chargers They're like 15 minutes to top you up to 80%.
I saw this video, and it was it's like this. I follow a lot of tech YouTubers, and so this one guy, him and his team, they did this, like, I think they called it the 1,000-mile challenge, where they took I think it was a gas car, a Tesla, and another brand of EV. I think it might be one of the Nissan ones or something like that. And so they kind of did the same sort of road trip. Like everyone had to take slightly different routes because of the charging networks and that. But one of the things that they mentioned, and this is something that to me gives Tesla sort of the all powerful, extra edge in the EV space, is that when you're looking for Tesla chargers on their cars, their like built-in GPS in their cars, they'll not only tell you where their charge stations are, they can also tell you, how many chargers there are, how many chargers are occupied, so how many people are already using them, and if any of them are broken or out of order. Wow. So one of the things that happened during this video is that the guys that were driving the non-Tesla EV, they had found a charging station on their built-in GPS in the car, got there, all of the chargers were either occupied or broken. They had to then backtrack about 200 miles to get to and they added I think 4 or 5 hours to their trip in order to get back to wherever they were before, to find a charger station and then start over again. So
why wouldn't you just wait?
Again, we were talking about this range anxiety and finding chargers and stuff like that. And I think when it comes to until people feel more comfortable with knowing that a charger is easy to get to at a gas station, that's going to be a huge selling point for Teslas.
Here's my thing though, you always drive by Costco and you have cars, lined up down the road through the parking lot intertwined. And it's like, you're not saving money on gas. You're waiting an hour to get your gas. We're across the street. We're not talking much of a difference. So to Kathryn's point, for them to drive 5 hours to backtrack, wait a minute, wait a half hour, wait till one is free, and then move along.
But the chargers, a lot of the chargers are actually broken.
Oh, so they actually.
Okay, so how are you going to wait for somebody to come out, a technician to come out and fix it?
Oh, I thought there were some available.
Most of them
just being
were
occupied, right?
Yeah.
All right, so consider this
one
though.
was occupied and 4 were broken.
Consider this though, folks, is that right now, to put a gas station in a place that is underserved, you have to, you got to do, environmental things. You got to get the land ready. You got to build it out. But right now, think about this: charging stations for electric vehicles. Imagine that as I said before, Kathryn, on one of our shows, imagine that every Tim Hortons has 3 bays. Right across Canada. Think about it. They can, because it's so easy. It's clean, right? Now imagine if every Tim Hortons decides that they're going to put up a solar array that's going to help to charge those and a battery, Tesla's battery clusters or whatever it is. Think about it. It's an absolutely amazing thing, because I don't mind waiting 15 minutes in Tim Hortons, to be honest with you, right? Because I'm gonna pee, I'm gonna get a coffee, I'm gonna get a donut, and I'm gonna sit around and enjoy the view, and then I'm gonna continue on my way.
And then 5 minutes.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
so,
early. By the time you get inside, get your order, come out, you've already done 10 minutes.
Easy.
Right? And so it's not a huge deal. Have any of you been driving at night and swore the sedan or car type vehicle had their high beams on?
Yes.
Yeah, those newer adaptive lighting. Do you know that the states would not let Tesla have those because it was still something from the 60s that you couldn't have both the low beam and high beam on at the same time? Something ridiculous, right? So Tesla has just got approved for the adaptive headlights that we've had since 2018.
Wow.
So just so you're aware, it's pretty neat technology when they get them both lit. I am gonna share this screen. I swear I am. And number 1, it says. I'm believing it. Okay. You guys see the YouTube?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So should be. Yeah, you don't. It's sexy, okay, for Ivan, just so you know. It's
Thank you. Awesome.
pretty car. Okay, that should be it. Oh, yes, I know what Kathryn didn't do.
I figured.
I'm such a newbie at this, you'd think. Okay, we on there again?
Aw, adorable.
Yeah, baby wallpaper.
Oh, no, okay. Why would it do that just for me to turn on? Okay, are we there yet?
Yep.
Okay. My granddaughter is adorable, though. And yes, I know. Okay, there's no volume yet. Come on. I thought it was past that. Sorry. Okay, so. So adapt, you're catching it. There was some.
Oh, I see.
Right, so it's up. So you got the distance. Here you go. This is better. And then it detects a car and brings them down.
Automatically.
Hence the adaptive. Right?
Okay. I was thinking to myself, we have something similar to this in my wife's SUV, but this is way more advanced than what I was thinking of.
Yeah, so it again takes by the lighting. So that's pretty neat. And again from the behind as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
And that's by keeping both lights on, right? Yeah, it can adapt for both.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But it was a good way to explain to my husband why, because he keeps going to me, is that guy high beams on? And I'm going, I'm not sure. Like, it kind of seems like they are, but it's not that complete blinding, right?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt your eyes the same way.
Yeah, it certainly does that. So, yeah, it is pretty neat. So you guys know me as a gadget person. Right, I mean, like, this is the best part about being on the tech show. And so it's been a long time since I bought anything. And so I've been looking and found some pretty neat little toys. And one of them is this wonderful light. And it actually, for folks that work at home, you might find this pretty neat. All right. Yes, you seeing the screen?
Yep.
So you'll notice this bar here.
All the bar lights, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a task light. But it's not another thing on the side, right, that gets in the way. I thought, man, I would love that. Because now that I'm in such a bright office, I got this light that's there doing nothing. There's, because if I turn it on at nighttime, it blinds me. So
if they could only figure out, Kathryn, how to keep that light there and then still have my camera in that same spot, that would be nice.
I wouldn't be surprised if like Logitech or somebody like that makes one of those with the camera just built right in on top of it.
Because that's what my camera is Logitech, right? So yeah, my webcam.
Yeah. Or they'll maybe have something where, because the other thing too, like I have like I'm in my office right now, and I've got a ring light here to the side of my webcam to light up the one side of my face. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with some sort of all-in-one sort of light for webcam / desk light / built-in webcam like itself into it, all as an all-in-one sort of solution. Because to me, it feels like there's, like Ivan's kind of alluding to, is like nowadays there's so many different things that you can clip to the top of your desk or to the top of your monitor. It's like, where do you have room for all of it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you got to keep it in the center or somewhat in the center, right? To make it work. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so oh my goodness, storage. Yes, remember. storage. So these are these super fast SSDs. Look at this Air Mini. Isn't that a little?
Wow.
4 terabytes.
Looks like a Swiss Army knife.
That's 4
Yeah.
terabytes?
4 terabytes. 10 hours of continuous battery. Yeah. Pretty neat, eh?
Wow.
So there's that.
Wireless connectivity?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow.
I know, eh? And then I love this sleek, because this one is the only thing. I love you, Ivan, but I really miss having access to your hub. Because the only thing, yeah, because it's even got the camera one on the side, right?
Wow.
For the SD cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, these, and it's streamlined. It's not bulky. It's, you know, if it stood on its end, that would be better. But what does stand on its end, is that the next one? Yes, is look at the new type of ergonomic mouse. Yes.
That's a mouse?
So,
How do you
yeah.
hold that?
So you actually put your hand on the side, in your wrist,
Right.
on it, and grab it on like a joystick.
Interesting.
Isn't that
Interesting.
neat? Yeah. Now this is still conceptual because I tried to find something, but it's a Logitech. We were just touting Logitech, right? So they have some really neat ones right now. So they have this vertical,
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
right? And it's the same idea, except the other one actually holds your wrist instead of you holding onto it, so you don't get that tiredness over the day. Okay.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and then there's
I have the master one there.
do you?
Yeah, that's what I'm using right here.
Oh, okay. And how do you find it?
This is this is the Gen 1, that's the Gen 3, but
Oh,
honestly,
okay.
like from an ergonomic perspective, it does everything I need. Like it's got enough buttons that I can sort of program it the way I want. It's got just enough of that ergonomic slanting that it just makes my arm a little bit less tired than like the one I have at my house.
Yeah. Yeah, because I notice it even in the forearm, right? Not just your hand
Forearm
itself.
especially, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's good to know. So the MX Master, and they were all the same price point, right? But so tell me then, what would you think of? Oh, laptop people, right? This is amazing. It is the stand. I thought I had. Yes, I do. Nope, that's not it. Never mind. That's the next. But it does laptops and tablets, which
Nice.
is yeah, right, for you folks who are all laptops and stuff like that, which are typically the younger generation because they just want one computer, right? So you don't have to worry about all this back and forth. And I saw those well under like $79 all through Amazon, right? But I had no idea. 22 pounds they say it will hold.
Wow.
Right? So, I mean, even the oldest laptop that feels like 22 pounds, you know.
Yeah.
I saw a guy at Starbucks earlier.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. There
And
you
my
go.
old Toshiba. That's
Yeah.
a full of beer.
I saw a guy at Starbucks on Monday when I was having coffee with my wife. He came. He was an older gentleman. I'd say probably late 60s. He was dragging one of those wheelie suitcases behind him, and then I just happened to sit down because he was sitting sort of right in front of my field of vision.
Yeah.
He pulled out this big gaming laptop, like a heavy, thicker laptop. He had one of those electronic cooling things that you stick underneath it to keep the laptop cool, and he had a stand underneath that. So like he's sitting in a chair. He's got the stand. He had the suitcase on his lap. He had the riser stand on top of that, on top of the cooler, and then the laptop on top of that. It was like, I'm like, oh my god! I could not imagine trying to set that up in a coffee shop or a library. I would like, oh my god, that's too much.
Wow. Yeah, that is a little bizarre. But each to his own. That was one thing, by the way. Your mouse, Nathan, they were saying that the lag time for gaming is like it's perfect. There's no real lag
No,
time.
latency is almost none.
So, which is pretty neat. Now, this looks really interesting, and this is not conceptual. It's called the keyboard gloves,
So,
right? So imagine each hand is in a glove, and then you're typing because you know where your fingers are supposed to go, right, on the keyboard, or should, but it's got the wrist, right?
That one takes a lot of practice.
no.
Yeah.
kidding.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, because there's so many functions for your thumb too, right? Which now, I mean, how many years did it take them to give us 2 control buttons on our keyboards? So you didn't have to always go over to the left. But it's got some perks, right? It talked about packing much smaller, right? Have you ever tried to take your keyboard with you? Like, so much for that, right? Yeah, and apparently the ergonomics are just phenomenal. Have you actually worked on one like that, Lisa?
Yeah, I hated it. Yeah, mind you, I'm so used to, like, I can type. I'm a good typer and a fast typer. I don't know proper verbiage for that, but you know, you train yourself to type. So you got to start over. You're literally starting over because you're not reaching with the same fingers, and your fingers have to do other things now. So you're ready to start over at this point.
Oh,
It was neat,
okay.
but it just takes a lot of practice, right?
Right.
Like, do
Okay,
you
yeah,
remember when you first started typing on like one of these, like just a regular keyboard? You know, you start off with like this, and then you start, you know, and then you go. But this is a whole new level now, because you're training your brain that these keys are not in the same spot they used to be.
Yeah, totally.
I also
Oh,
don't see a number pad. That would irk me.
Yeah,
But I also work in
totally.
finance, so I deal with numbers all day.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to see. Yeah, I didn't realize that it wasn't the same fingers as well, right? Because I can see T's and Y is on the, or is it?
Well,
just,
look at the smaller parts where your thumbs go, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you type now, pretty much the only thing your thumb does is hit spacebar,
spacebar, yeah.
right? But now you can see that there's like, I think all of like the page up, page down, insert, and all those types of buttons. That's
Which
usually
has
like
always been, yeah.
to the side. I think that's now what they're expecting your thumb to do.
Yeah, true, yeah.
And even your pinky, like, look at where the pinky keys are. Like, that's not normal on a regular laptop. So
Oh, yeah, no, there's nothing there. That's right. Should just be your enter and, oh, yeah, pages and that. Okay, I didn't look at it that close.
Sorry.
It looks nice.
There are actually a couple of the guys who build things. And my husband's into building electronics, so he does the little tiny soldering and the chips and things.
Oh, right.
There's one guy who's actually out there who built his own keyboard similar to that, but a lot smaller, and he did it so that he measured his fingers properly, because you know how your fingers, Ivan's hand and fingers are not going to be the same like mine, and I have these really dropped pinkies compared to a lot of other people, so I never could play the piano well, or I couldn't reach the top of the keyboard with the numbers and stuff the same as everybody else. But he did it so that he mapped his fingers first, and then he built the keyboard, and he just chose keys that, and the ones that he would use the most, right, and split it up. So he
Amazing.
built that, but to fit him.
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. So he does. Apparently, you can contract him to map your fingers and have it set up for you, right? So it's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, if that's what you did for a living, that would be definitely worth it, right?
Totally.
Like if you were continuously. All right, who's Apple here? Anybody? One Apple, two. Oh, okay.
Wow.
50 split.
I dabble between Apple and PC.
Okay, well, iPhone people, here we go. The UFO charger. You just plunk, it just sticks. It's just metal. It just magnetic.
Oh, okay.
And the little alien lights up and says, "Hey, I'm charging." And when his eyes go dark, he's charged.
My phone is not new enough for MagSafe. I think mine is a generation before MagSafe got introduced.
Oh,
But that's kind of cute, yeah.
That
yeah,
reminds me of R2D2.
yeah.
Yeah. That well, and
Yeah,
especially
MagSafe.
orange and white, I immediately thought of BB-8.
Yeah, there you go. So that was my lineup for today. Again, I just find this stuff fascinating. I email myself so many things so I can look it out on the big screen rather than my little phone. Like, it's interesting to look on it at the phone, but I always love seeing. I was so disappointed that was only for Apple, right? Like, I don't have any intention of doing it for us Android people.
Well, I think if your phone supports wireless charging, it would work. It just wouldn't, because the what makes MagSafe is that it magnetically sticks to the back of the phone, so that you know how when you use a wireless, I don't know how many people here use wireless chargers, but sometimes if your phone shifts like half an inch, it all of a sudden stops charging.
Yes.
Right.
I don't see why you couldn't just plop that on, because it's got the indicators right on it, so you know if it's in place to charge your phone or not. I can't see how that would work with any Android phone that has wireless charging built into it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was. I'd have to look further into it because it does say just for Apple, right? Because again, that's an issue. I put my phone down last night. Thought I put it in all the way into the charger, and so guess where my phone is now? Trying to get a quick charge before I leave for work at home.
So annoying.
Oh, right. As my husband leaves, and I go, "Oh, I'll just call him." Oh yeah, that's what I was going to call him about, was my phone not being here, right? So yeah, it's a tough day. Kathryn's going to head home and get her phone. Thank God I only live a kilometer away, but yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
That's the one thing I find with my, like, I've got the 20 Galaxy 21 now.
Yeah.
And I don't find it holds a charge as well. It charges really, really fast. You know, within about an hour it's charged up, but I find it doesn't really hold a charge. Like,
I think it's because it's so powerful. I know, I find the same thing too. I can't go all day, even with working and not gaming. On the weekend, if I'm gaming on my phone, forget it. I have to charge that thing 2 or 3 times, like every time I stop to
but even when I'm not using my phone, like, it's not unusual for me to go like a day or so without even using it, or very little, and it still goes down.
Check the amount of things in the back, right? Because a lot of stuff will automatically run in the back and be sucking the power. I know anything that I have put to allow to override, it keeps saying to me, you know, if you got rid of this, it would help your battery life. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Nathan, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. I feel like I've talked a lot today anyway, so I could probably use that to check. No, I want to ask Lisa a question because we were talking about EVs earlier.
I think you lost. You waited too long. Yeah, she probably had another appointment because we're.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'll have to catch you next time.
All right. Well, thank you for your patience and thank you for coming to Tech Talk. And I can't wait till next week. Have a great weekend, folks.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care, Kathryn.
Guys.